Is that Mac on the cover of that?
It is.
Is that 1990?
It is.
Wild.
It's the 50th episode of Q. Episode of Q
The
magazine.
50th episode of the magazine. Right, shall we? Yeah?
What is it you want to do?
Start the show. Hey, hello and welcome to CVXX, and it is 1990. A whole new millennium has begun.
I have to.
No, it's not a new millennium, is it?
No, it's a new decade.
A new decade has begun.
You have lived through a new millennium, so that is understandable that you find that confusing, son.
Yes.
You're fine.
1990, let's hear it.
Get all your denims and get some bleach for under the sink. Throw all your denims in and get them all bleached and ruin them. It's the 1990s.
The 1990s are here. Get your denims kind of loose at the waist so they kind of hang down right to your hips. And you can see, well, lassies used to cut up, but you see their wee bellies showing in that. Know what I mean? That's the 1990s. Although, listen, let me explain something to you. See, when you get later in the 1990s, the lassies would cut about at school. They were wearing big shapeless shirts and all that. And
you're after an early start here.
I know I'm after a start. Listen, what I'm saying is, when I was at school, right, the lassies cut about like they were wee guys.
We should do podcasts early in the morning more often. Your blood's up still.
So it was the 90s. It was a weird period. There was a lot of changes, lots of transitions. Listen, let me explain something to you. This was 1990. All right, Ryan, are we ready to get going on this?
I'm good to go.
Now, what age were you in 1990?
1990, I would have turned 12 years of age.
12 years old.
12 years of age.
Well,
so I was thinking about this because I was thinking that we had a wee touch of despair about coming out of the 1980s, but I think the 1990s represents like a cocooning for us, like a bedroom golden age.
Yes.
Like the 90s is where all the film watching and all the most intense game playing and film watching, all the devouring.
Well, 1990 specifically is like we're the first few years of the 90s is going to be the last of kind of isolated consumption of stuff, because we start to consume a lot of stuff together once we get into the mid 90s.
Not just curries.
Not just curries, mainly curries.
5-star. Big shout out to 5-star.
Yep, 5-star and 1-star, 5 and 1, 5-star and 1. Chicken tikka masala with green peppers, naan bread. Also a big shout out to the Chakwal Tandoori as well.
5-star the band, somebody phoned in and said that they were so fucking crap on going live. Nobody's ever done that with Star 5 and 1, the takeaway, up Burmullock. Burmullock,
talking about Broomfield Road in Burmullock, 5-star and 1-star, 5 and 1. Around about that time, there was also the Lorman Curry House, a Chinese takeaway. Do you remember the Lorman?
Oh man, I feel like I'm in the 90s now. The dippy sauce place. Everything was all ultra purified. Like it was all mush, basically. It was a tub of mush.
Lorman Curry House, where my brother-in-law at the time got a moth in his curry.
That's good luck.
Listen, here's something about 1990. Rab is a teenager. I'm a teenager in 1990. I'm 13 years old in 1990. And let me tell you, my blood was up. I was ready. At 13 years old, I was ready to have sexual intercourse. Unfortunately, because I would not have sexual intercourse for years.
Nobody else on earth was ready for that. It was just that you that was ready
for it. I remember my sister, Frances, had a book, and this is the first time I've ever said this, and probably Frances doesn't even know, but she had a book called The Joy of Sex up in her room.
Right.
When I was a wee guy, I used to go and I used to go when Francis was out. I'd go and steal that book and have a read at it.
Can
it was like an educational.
While you're telling a story.
It was an educational thing. There's nothing really that bad, but you did see women's breasts, penises, and sexual intercourse.
My mum had an erotic one. I think it might have been like, it had a wee bit of pretense of being an educational thing, but it was an erotic one. I used to sneak that.
Also, something else that happened in the 1990s, which is pornography related, right? But we'll get to that in a later episode. But I'm going to tell you a story about something that went on at All Saints Secondary School back in the 90s, and it involves Madonna. So, but that's coming. That'll come down the line.
You couldn't have went to the same school as
I didn't.
I went to the same school as you.
I didn't come to the same one as a.
Listen, I think we're in a good mood. Would you like a headline for 1990?
Yeah. Is this going to continue the good mood?
Already in a good mood.
Right, yeah, go for it.
Bit of politics for you. 1990. Margaret Thatcher resigns as Prime Minister.
Magic. Remember she was greeting and all that? The fucking...
And other Tories as well were greeting as well.
Stupid old boot, man. Stupid old...
I consider myself a compassionate person as well. Like, so much so that I can now say, like, given the type of person I can actually say that out loud as well. I think I'm a compassionate person. But when I heard that woman go dementia and like suffered the way she did at the end of her life, I thought, she deserves that.
Oh my God.
That person deserves that.
That is controversial. I would never go that far. It's interesting because Thatcher obviously is a figure of hate for working class people.
Maggie Thatcher, throw her up and catch her.
Yep. Across the United Kingdom. But let me tell you something. We've had a bad run of prime ministers lately, haven't we? It's like, it's interesting because...
It's over. Why are we even delving into this water? It's over.
It's interesting because she was at least she was an absolute bastard, but she was a serious person. Do you know what I mean? You don't get really serious people as prime ministers anymore. I don't know. I'm not getting involved. No. By the way, I don't want that to be perceived as me defending Margaret Thatcher, by the way. She can go and take in line quoting on this. Did you not say in an earlier episode that you had some kind of feelings towards her? Yeah, sexual, but... That doesn't really count. She can go and take a flying fuck to herself. Okay, what was your life looking like in 1990? 12 years old. I would have been just leaving primary school to go into secondary school. So... Wow. I think at that current time, you get a lot of this through my life. I think my current obsession is probably I'm really in love with. Is that a lassie at school? Yeah, but she's going to a different secondary school. So, oh Jesus! So that's a tragic time, innit? That is. But on the plus side, you were about to enter the building where Rab Florence also existed in. That's true. That's true. You maybe didn't. That was the main selling point. I remember sitting down with my man saying, "I know that I probably should go to a Protestant primary school, secondary school, but Rab Florence is going to be in that building." All Saints. It's all life. I was saying to my mum, "Mum, I'm only 12, but life is all about networking." All Saints Secondary School in Burma. It's gone now. Knocked it down. They knocked it down. We outlasted the building. They knocked it down. Replaced it with a brand new, shiny one. See the amount of films that were in 1990? A lot of films. When we were deciding what to cover in 1998, the films outstripped TV by a significant margin. I think that says something already about what our leaning is. We're watching a lot of films. TV has it, but TV is... I feel like TV in 1990 is still in a kind of transition mode. Mm-hmm. It's still in a transition mode. TV comes onto a good game in the mid-90s, I think. There's a lot of experimenting, I think, going on. Yeah. So what do you want? What's the first bit of content that we'll have a look at, Ryan? We are sticking to the format in this episode. What, of a film and TV and all that business, games? And 2 TVs and some games. Okay, so what have we got?
To boldly go where no one has gone before.
Star Trek The Next Generation's launch was an exciting thing in my family because my dad was such a fan of the original Star Trek. My dad was a big fan of the original Star Trek. And so it was quite an exciting moment because my dad was suddenly interested in a thing that was coming on the telly. You know what I mean? My dad wouldn't normally get excited about something coming on the telly, but my dad was like, oh, we need to check that out. Have you seen all the classic series then as a result of him being a fan?
or a lot of them.
I had kind of seen them, but I wasn't into the classic series of Star Trek when I was a wee guy, no at all. And I didn't have a huge knowledge about it when I was a wee guy before The Next Generation.
If you'd seen the amount of miniskirts at the age of 13, you would have been into it.
Well, this is the thing. Nowadays,
Your wee William Shatner would have been into it.
Nowadays, I would say the original Star Trek, the classic series, is my favourite one to watch. If I'm going to stick on a Star Trek.
I've only seen like a tiny amount, a handful of episodes.
Oh, man, it's like a warm bath. The classic series, it's great.
I've seen like the Tribble episode.
You need to watch. You should watch them all. It's just
and I really loved, because Deep Space Nine is my favourite, far and away my favourite Star Trek series, and I really loved that flashback stuff they did. Mind there was like a crossover flashback with the classic series.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was really well done. I loved that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is Star Trek: The Next Generation, and there was a hell of a buzz because obviously Star Trek was a bit of a, you know, it was kind of out of people's heads a wee bit. Obviously, the Star Trek movies were happening, the movies were happening, but in terms of TV,
so much so that in Strange to Jump, put my coffee down, halfway through, more or less, but there was a wee nod to the films in the Encounter at Farpoint where they had McCoy walk about with Data for a couple of minutes for some reason. He just visited. He popped in.
Yeah, a wee nod, and they don't even. Did they even say his name? Did they say his name?
They just call him
an admiral. The admiral. Right. Anyway, so Star Trek: The Next Generation, Encounter at Farpoint is the name of it. It was a 2-part opening. There was like 2 episodes that were told one story, and it was essentially the cast coming together. We're introducing this new cast of a new Star Trek.
As many times as I've seen this episode as well, I had it in my head that there was some kind of like they kind of, maybe it happens in so many films that the crew kind of meet before they depart, but that doesn't happen in the episode. They're already out when they're on the bridge.
Yeah, well,
Riker.
It's almost more about Riker joining the crew, isn't it?
Aye, he's the only one that's no.
It's it's a really, when I was watching it again there, so to tell you what happens in the episode, basically, Picard, Jean-Luc Picard, who is the captain of the Starship Enterprise, this Baldy, this fucking Baldy guy, right? And he...
Do you like him right now, or did you continue to like him for the whole show? The whole run of this series?
What do you mean?
Because you're acting like you don't like him. You're like, fucking John Baldy.
Right, hold on a minute. I'm not tipping my hat to anything just yet. Just hear me out.
Right.
So I'm just saying this fucking Baldy bastard, right? He is the captain of the Starship Enterprise, and he's got Tasha Yar with him there, and he's got Worf on the deck, who's a Klingon. So that's your first surprise.
Is it the DJ?
He's on the decks. He's a Klingon, and that's the first big surprise because the Klingons were, of course, the
what? The baddies?
They were well, I'm talking to my Waynes here. They were the baddies, right? And then suddenly there's one standing there on the bridge.
I feel as if he's not as Klingon-y as he becomes. I feel as if his makeup becomes a wee bit more Klingon-y. He's got his big sash and stuff like that.
I remember that interested my dad, that Worf being there. He was like,
right.
You were the baddies.
A racist?
No, but just because he was just like, that's interesting. And then there was Tasha Yar, and then there was, what's her name? Marina Sirtis staying her.
Deanna Troi. I never realised she was so prevalent in the first episode because she's doing stuff as well. Like she's on the instrumentation at some point. She's using the communicator and stuff. I'm sure they've got
rotten.
Oh, but I thought you were tipping your hat. That's a pretty big tip of your
hat.
The
most rotten character.
Oh, her? Oh, I agree with that. Definitely. I mean,
I'm psychic. I can't tell. Every fucking episode of Star Trek, she's like, what's her name again? Deanna Troi.
I can't remember her name.
Deanna or Troy. What's he thinking? I don't know. He's too powerful. That's fucking it. That's basically it.
She's only half Betazoid though, so that's how, because you couldn't have a full Betazoid, it'd be cheating.
They've walked out. Essentially, they've walked out.
Do you remember her ma? Do you remember the character?
Yeah, I fucking remember all it. And her homeworld and everything. It was the worst.
All the episodes were unbearable.
And what you can't do is put a psychic character into your telly show who can read people's fucking emotions or mind or he's lying or anything like that. It fucking ruins drama. So they've already, their hands are tied already. Anyway, I don't want to get into Deanna Troi, right? But
Hangme's on the bridge. Hangme's on the bridge.
Tasha Yar.
No, O'Brien is on the bridge. But I'm sure.
No. He's not on the bridge.
Aye, I know.
He's on the battle bridge.
What?
He's on the battle bridge. It's
Right.
a different bridge.
Right,
Because-
sorry, but he's on a bridge.
Right,
but what I'm saying is, I don't think it's O'Brien because I think somebody calls him a different name. I should have checked this. Star Trek fans are not going to be happy.
You're
about
getting
this
ahead
one.
of yourself here.
Right, get it.
Because they're very excited about something in this episode. They're very excited about the fact that this new version of the Starship Enterprise can separate its disc from its body.
Mm-hmm.
So the disc can come off, right?
I was so annoyed by that scene
Why?
already. I act as if I'm not really that buying into Star Trek that much, but then when technical things happen, I'm like, oh, that's...
Why were you
Because they
annoyed?
did it at warp. They separated at warp, which
Are
just...
you sure they separated at
I'm
warp?
pretty sure they did.
Lieutenant, your torpedoes must detonate close enough to the hostile to blind it the moment we separate.
Understood, sir.
The length of time it took was also a wee bit annoying.
They played the entire... Think about this. They played the entire title theme again while they were separating that fucking disc. And it's such a weird thing as well, because it's like there's no even really that impressive. It's like somebody unhitching the caravan for the back of their motor.
It looks like when I click the Dyson up into the charger.
Yeah, it's not really an impressive thing. It's purely there to kind of go, oh, this is a fucking more modern and different ship for the Starship Enterprise, you know, because look, they can... Okay, so let's tell you what happens in this, first of all, before we dig down into Picard, right? So they're out there, they're going to a place called Farpoint, where they're going to pick up Riker. And Farpoint is kind of like this place that's on the edge of the known galaxy
Federation.
almost. Yeah, known Federation space or whatever, right? So they're going to pick up Riker for there. But on their way there, they get surrounded by what I can only describe as a metal curtain, a metal space curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Like a shower curtain comes round them in space. And you're thinking to yourself, who's capable of doing this? It must be the most annoying fucking character in the history of science fiction who's done this. It must be the most fucking annoying fucking character in the history of science fiction who's put this shower curtain around the Starship Enterprise.
Did you notice that when he was on the bridge at one point,
When you're saying you're talking about
Q.
Q, his name is, right?
Here we go.
Q, here we go, there's Q magazine there. By the way, get that, there we go.
When the security team were coming on, attempting to come onto the bridge, he also made a mini grid. Like it was
put a mini
exactly,
shower
it was
curtain up.
exactly the same grid. They just used the same graphic.
So Q is this godlike...
I wonder how hard that was to do back then. An effect like that.
That
Probably
effect?
dead hard. Probably
Maybe-
dead
maybe-
expensive
maybe
and time
hard.
consuming.
Maybe hard. But we're on the cusp here in 1990 of a real breakthrough in digital effects.
Yeah.
Listen, it looks all right effects-wise, I think. Star Trek, this first episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I think what we watched must have been cleaned up.
I don't know about that.
Anyway, it looked fine anyway.
It looked fine. So
I always liked in Star Trek like when you go to an exotic planet or whatever, you get like lots of map paintings and stuff like that. I look forward to seeing them. I like them.
yes, I do love the map paintings as well.
And backgrounds and stuff like that. Like they go to a wee village and it's all clearly like painted backgrounds and all that. Like,
Yeah, I like all that stuff. I'll tell you what I don't like though. Some fucking annoying cunt,
What are you
right?
talking about?
Q, who turns up and he can just magic you away places. I mean,
Why?
you've waited all this time to see Star Trek, right? Imagine how my dad must have felt. This is what I think, right? Imagine how my dad must have felt if watching Star Trek. If Star Trek's coming back and they're like, wow, look at this technology, this can separate. And then the first enemy they come up against is essentially a wizard, a space wizard, who can magic you about, who is hammy as fuck, man. Weirdly, I found it quite enjoyable watching him this time, Q, because I already knew I hated him, right? So I was able to just enjoy.
What's weird about him is that it doesn't get any better, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he gets worse.
Years later, I remember buying my cousin a box set, just the Q episodes. They released a Q special box set, so and I'm pretty sure they're all duffers. They're all Or he's here. I forgot the actor's name. Or he's here. We better hit the costume department and get some Robin Hood fucking outfits.
Q eventually turns into this kind of character who, when Jean-Luc Picard is going on his vacation somewhere, Q will decide to appear wearing a safari suit to annoy him. That is just for.
He never did it in this episode, but he also loves to click his fingers and make cigars appear in people's songs.
He's the fucking worst. He's the worst fucking character. He's worse than Deanna Troi, and that's bad, right? If you're saying somebody's worse than Deanna Troi.
She's just a bad actress.
Knowing humans as thou dost, Captain, wouldst thou be captured helpless by them? Now go back, or thou shalt most certainly die.
So he puts a shower curtain around Picard, and Picard's like, I don't know, Picard's just going through his process of.
You know what's weird about the character of Picard? That he's such a hard ass in this, and it's almost like it's because it's the start of the series and he's a new character. They've gave him this, or he's gave himself this kind of fresh out of the academy sort of attitude. But he's a captain, so it's weird that he's got that attitude. I suppose some captains do, but.
Every decision that Picard makes is completely reckless.
He's very foolhardy, isn't he? He's very, but I mean, that's not a first for Star Trek.
So he acts like an unlikable bastard, and he's super reckless.
What he does to Riker when Riker eventually turns up, where he just pushes him into a situation.
Well, he goes like so after we've seen Picard separate the fucking disc. You know what I mean? And getting everybody into trouble that I don't think he's just trying to outrun this fucking a ball with Q inside that is chasing him. Can you imagine that? A ball with the most annoying character in the world is chasing you.
And they outrun it as well.
And he's trying to outrun it, right? He's trying to outrun a god. And he separates the disc and all that and puts everybody at threat and everybody's all fucking evacuating and all of that kind of stuff, right? Just because he's fucking ego, right? After he does all of that, and he when Riker turns up, he goes, right, put the disc back on, Riker, but do it manually. Why? Why do it manually?
It was a test.
Why test them? They've got all that fucking technology. Why?
I don't know.
Riker should have told him to fuck off. Riker should have told him to...
Picard probably would have accepted that, but I mean, it would have told Picard who his first officer was, but he'd never met his first officer.
He's bad-tempered. He's cold.
What he should have done is he should have gave Riker a chair and told him to sit down, and that would have told him a lot more about Riker than docking manually.
Sat back to front on there. No, it's so here's what I took for this watching it. It's an absolute relief when Riker appears.
Right. There is something. I mean, I don't know. It's because we've seen so many, but there definitely is something missing with him now.
Riker is.
It definitely makes you look at Troy and go, "What the fuck? Why is she so prevalent?"
Yeah, Riker and Data and Geordie LaForge are the boys for me. They're the boy. Data steals it, doesn't he? Mm-hmm, Data's stealing it right for the get-go, as he does basically for the entire run. But Riker is.
He's not a very convincing robot. He's not a very convincing android.
How do you know what a fucking android is like?
I mean, he react like his facial expressions is constantly emotionally reacting to things. Like he's no.
This is a Blade Runner fan here.
But you wouldn't want to watch a mannequin walking about. No. He has to do that. I'm just saying that's.
No, true.
Because they make a big deal about him using contractions and things like that later on in the series, and how that's like something that he can't do as an android, but he's constantly like emoting all the time. But
well, the characters aren't all fully there yet, are they? In this first episode, no, I don't think either. Definitely not. Because even Geordie hasn't got quite his vibe that Geordie's got. But I'm going to go as far as to say that Star Trek: The Next Generation would have bombed if it wasn't for Riker. I feel like Riker is the only connective tissue between Star Trek: The Next Generation and the classic Star Trek series. He's the only connective tissue. He's the only character who feels like he maybe could have existed in that world. I don't think any of the rest of them do. I don't think any of these characters in Star Trek: The Next Generation feel like they're from the same world as the classic series, but Riker does. Riker feels like that to me.
Is that just because he's constantly trying to hump everybody?
Maybe, possibly, but also just there's a.
I mean that I'm joking.
There's a charm to him.
That does say something about humanity as well. Like what we go out into the stars and try and hump everybody.
Aye. Well,
then kill them.
There's a charm to him, and there's a realness to him that I don't think any of these characters have. You know?
No. True.
No. So you've got anyway. So Q is judging humanity for.
What about Wesley Crusher though?
Oh yeah, there's Wesley Crusher and Beverly Crusher come in. I was thinking to myself, see now that I'm a grown man, right? And Wesley Crusher is like a kid. Wesley Crusher was older than me when I first watched Star Trek: The Next Generation. Now he's just a kid. I thought, well, I feel differently about him, and I kind of don't. I'm like, why is he here?
He's a wank.
It's not good. Beverly Crusher as well. There's a lot of characters in this.
Riker was even flirting with her. I never even realised it. As soon as he meets her, he's at it. He can't help himself.
There's a lot of characters in this show that kind of have edges smoothed off them to the extent that they almost like your eyes bounce off them. They have like, there's a blandness to a lot of stuff.
It is pitched very middle of the road.
I've got some notes here. So Q is... Oh, here's something I wanted to say.
See, I've written down that Deanna Troi talking about like she's so distressed, and she's talking about how this thing that they're battling is beyond the life form, and I'm sitting going, this thing's beyond it, and it's fucking Q.
Yeah.
Q has been to the costume department.
Yeah, there's nothing really impressive about. I did like when they go to the court and Q's wearing that costume and stuff. I like that. That's a wee bit more Doctor Who.
He might be a god Q, but the length of fucking time it takes his seat to manoeuvre down so that he's
his wobbly fucking floating seat that he uses to judge everybody. Here's what I think, right? See if Star Trek: The Next Generation started today, 2025, and it was that exact episode, and it was exactly the same. The outcry online would be incredible. It would be thunderous, the outcry. Because he says in it, to boldly go where no one has gone before, not no man has gone before.
Right.
So all that fucking mental mob that get annoyed about that kind of stuff would go mental about him saying where no one has gone before. Inclusive language like that.
Because he didn't say man?
Yeah. The inclusive language like that. There's a guy at one point goes past when the saucer is being disconnected and he has a wee dress on.
That's true, I saw that.
There's a guy, if that happened, if Star Trek launched a day with that, people would go off their fucking heads.
Yeah, what are you doing?
This was 1990.
Fashion is terrible in the future, I've written down.
This was 1990. And it's got all these kind of progressive touches in it that now would be considered by a lot of the fucking nutters out there as too much, too far. This was 35 years ago. It was 35 years ago. They've got a baldy lead actor. But he's like me. He's like that.
But he's good.
He's like this.
It doesn't matter. He's baldy.
He's like that. He's baldy like Ryan. He's like baldy fucking Ryan.
I could be.
Baldy Rab.
I could be a captain on a starship. Geordie, I never realised, is in constant pain because of his visor. Did you realise that? They forgot about that fucking fact.
Yeah, no,
that changes
that was
the
quite
tone.
frightening.
That changes the tone of future episodes, that he's in constant pain because of his visor.
Did you like...
What's her name tries to get him hooked on fucking fentanyl or whatever it is that they're space fentanyl?
Aye, space fentanyl. Did you notice that the 21st century post-apocalyptic polis guys had Bunsen burner guns? The guns are just like Bunsen burners firing. That was good. That took me back to All Saints Secondary School there. There's a point in it, see when they go to the trial, by the way, it's like a fucking amateur dramatic production or something. It's like watching a school play or something. It's really fucking dreadful. And Tasha Yar, God love her, One of the best. One
You're
of the
saying Riker's got nothing. There's no touching fabric with it. Touching fabric. There's no touching cloth with the previous series, but that setup.
Oh, that setup. Yeah,
is classic series.
Yeah, maybe. But Tasha Yar does some good acting.
Did you fancy Tasha? What Star Trek actresses did you fancy? Like, I can't believe it's taken us this long to get to this.
Ensign Rowe.
She was really good looking, wasn't she?
It was Ensign Rowe. But Ensign Rowe's a long way down the line.
You seem too annoyed at Deanna Troi to fancy Deanna Troi, but most people that I know that watched The Next Generation fancied Troi.
Really?
As did I. Right.
See, Troi always seemed maybe like an older woman to me. When Ensign Rowe turned up in Star Trek, Ro Laren, that was game over for me. She was also like...
She was a rebel.
She was rebel and she was fucking edgy. She didn't stand for any Picard
Remember how much
shit.
Riker hated her?
Yeah, because she was strong.
Aye.
And she was fucking... Yeah, anyway.
I don't think she was interested either.
Get a picture of Ensign Rowe up on the screen. Fair play to her. Tasha Yar, by the way, does some good acting in this episode, and then for doing some good acting and for trying to inject a bit of life into the show, she gets sprayed with that snow that gets sprayed on windows at Christmas time.
Imagine how long you'd have to be standing in there to cover you in that shite. That's probably still in her lungs. Is she still kicking a ball, Tasha Yar? I'm sure she must be.
She's in one of my favourite horror movies as well.
So you saw the scene with Admiral McCoy being shown around the ship for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And finishes when McCoy going, treat the ship well, she'll always bring you home. A wee sentimental moment. But there was also a moment where Data told Admiral McCoy his age, and McCoy was blown away, astonished, and was like, how did you remember that so precisely?
How old do you think I am anyway?
137 years, Admiral, according to Starfleet records.
Explain how you remember that so exactly.
I know.
I could have done that.
I know, that's a
That's
bit
not
odd.
amazing that a robot done that. I could have done that.
That's a bit odd. But I mean, we're talking about how forgetful we're getting in our old age. Think of how forgetful McCoy must be.
He's a hunter. Fuck, I've already forgotten what age
Fucking
it is.
forgoes. You fucking forgoes.
Data.
137 years, Admiral, according to Starfleet records.
Riker's not got a beard yet, by the way, in this episode, which is quite exciting. And also, Data can do voices. Data always goes like blah, 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 and people's fucking voices come out. Recordings of people's voices.
Picard insinuates at one point that Ferengi people eat their business partners. You hear that?
Yeah.
Because that guy on that in Farpoint was threatening to do a deal with a Ferengi, and Picard was like, well, I heard they found their last partners whatever delicious. Or something like that, he said.
Yeah. Well, they've got jagged teeth.
They have, but I didn't realise they were eating people. I didn't realise
they dropped that because they wanted you to love Quark later on, didn't they? And you can't love a cannibal, to be honest. Although I do like that big actor guy that eats his girlfriends, you know, the one I'm talking about.
You're talking about.
What's his name? Fucking...
He eats his girlfriends?
Aye, that
Is that not every actor guy?
Nicholas Lyndhurst, that's what I was thinking. So, Riker... Oh, by the way, see when they're on Farpoint, there's something weird about Farpoint because everything you want just appears. Everything you need.
I know.
Everything that makes things perfect just appears. So if you go like that, I could really go
Riker's like that. Oh, I want an apple.
An apple
a big
appears.
bowl of fucking beautiful apples appears. But that maybe happens to Riker anyway.
See if you notice that though, right? See if you notice that if you thought, I want an apple, and an apple just appeared, you couldn't stop yourself from thinking, I really want a gobble now. Wish somebody would give me a gobble.
Big bowl of tits.
You couldn't stop yourself from doing it. Or I would, the way my mind works, I would go, I'm so self-defeating and so self-sabotaging, I'd go, oh God, I wish...
I hope I'm not covered in cocks. It's slippery cocks.
I had a stroke. I'd go, I say, don't say it, I wish I had a stroke. And in my head I'd be going, I wish I had a stroke, I wish I had a stroke. So I wouldn't be able to handle that. The only perfect thing that doesn't appear for them is a new script. See when Riker gets on the Starship Enterprise, Picard goes like that, catch Riker up with what's going on, and Riker sits down and watches the episode. Riker sticks the fucking DVD in.
When are we telling?
When are we telling? The DVD's out already. Sticks it in and watches the episode. Fucking rotten.
I wonder if it's Data that has to edit the episodes for them. Did you like the bit when Worf, I think Q appears on the view screen at one point and Worf nearly shoots at him?
Worf nearly shoots at
like
this is your security guy.
Like a cat chasing a fucking laser pen. He nearly shoots the telly.
There's a very odd moment where Picard talks about how he can't deal with children.
Aye, no, that goes through the series. He's no keen on kids. He's awkward with them.
Does it go through the series? Because I suppose there's the interactions with Wesley in there, because that's the arc in it. Is that
he softens, like I think we said this before we were recording, but Picard goes through quite a good journey, I feel, through the Next Generation, where he does have a softening. He goes through tragedies, and he has brilliant episodes. Like, you mind the one where they find a whistle, is it? He blows a whistle, and he gets like in his mind, he gets transported through a whole lifetime. So the episode is him living
with that
on
wee
a
flute.
Aye.
Yeah.
And the flute is like an alien technology that it was sent out like the way we sent out the gold discs. They sent out this flute.
Oh, is that what it was?
Aye, to document the civilization that used to be on this planet.
Right.
Brilliant episode, and changes Picard, and the Borg stuff as well changes him.
Well, aye. Listen, to be fair to Star Trek: The Next Generation, there are some great episodes of Star Trek:
There's
The Next
a
Generation.
handful. I watched it a few years ago. There's a handful. It's mostly rubbish. It's rubbish. Sorry.
It feels quite harsh.
Sorry.
But it's absolutely true. There's what I would say about Encounter at Farpoint is that it's at least interesting. And like I said, it's arseholes today would describe it as woke. They
You
would.
think? But Star Trek's always been a bit like that.
Well,
though, has it
obviously,
not?
Star Trek has always been.
I mean, it was 60s, the first
bit
series,
like
wasn't
that.
it? And it was multicultural, which
Yeah,
was
not-
very, very
Well,
unusual for the
Roddenberry
time.
was always wanting it to be
Is Diana
progressive.
Troy's ma? I should know this, but is Diana Troy's ma no Roddenberry's wife?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is. And she also does the voice at the computer, which I find really soothing.
I'm not sure. I just know that.
No, the computer, like the when there's like previously on Star Trek,
Right,
or in the next episode or whatever.
Do you think that was the computer on the ship that did that previously on Star Trek?
I don't know. It gets confusing.
No, here's what I did. Let me tell you what I did after I watched Encounter at Farpoint. Which
Uh-oh.
are we giving it a score?
The episode or the show? We keep talking about the show broadly. The episode.
You need
oh,
to talk
fuck,
about the
I
show
mean,
broadly, like a 5, 6.
Yeah.
It's all right. Well, but it's,
5.5.
we're looking at it outside the time. Maybe at that time when we're watching it when things like fucking The Bill are on telly.
I
It
can
was
admit, like, before it aired on TV, like my first memories of Star Trek Next Generation is they went watching it like on BBC Two, like 6 when it was airing at that time. It was before then when it was on like the Sky channels, and somebody that my cousin knew at college had Sky, so he taped like the multi-shown or whatever Star Trek on a VHS, and then would give it to my cousin, and my cousin would bring it home, and then like a week after it was on there, we would watch the VHSs. So that there was like a smuggling kind of thing. It was like early days of watching the wrestling as well. It was like there was something eventful about watching it because there was a rarity to it. No, they're just straight.
well, it's always interesting, I think, to watch a first episode of something because it's not fully formed. And it's like I said, Picard is not a likeable character. But everybody obviously grows to like Picard. You know what I mean? Picard becomes a great character, a great actor, obviously. It does a lot of the work. But yeah, it's an interesting... that was my main thing. My main takeaway for it was, God, if this story went out today, you know, or just all the stuff about how shit the human race is. I mean, it kind of hammers that point. The human race is fucking dreadful, you know, and even that people would be pissed off about nowadays because people just don't have the intellectual capacity to look at themselves anymore or to feel empathy for other people. Star Trek: The Next Generation.
That wee twist with the jellyfish, that fucking... See the jellyfish touching Hans at the end, man, that was so shite.
Ron.
So shite.
Sorry, can I just say what I did? Remember I said, here's what I did after I watched
Keep it clean.
All Good Things. I went to the very last episode of Star Trek because obviously...
Cues on that as well.
Well, Encounter at Farpoint is a critical episode because the trial isn't finished. The entire series, it turns out, is the trial.
Picard's life, I think.
Yeah. And so I went and watched...
Is it good?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's... They recreate the...
Data must be so much fatter in that.
It's a wee bit heavier, and also the cues
And now I fucking know.
Floating
Like
chair, it
Geordie's
works
like,
better.
and now I remember in that episode, Geordie's like a professor or something, isn't it? Like he's got like white hair or something. Like that.
Yeah, he comes
But
in.
now I know he's in constant pain, and he's been in constant pain the whole time.
But I
through.
think they do something about
They
that.
must do.
I think they
Maybe
do
he's a
something
junkie
about
now.
that. Because did they not have a choice at one point to get rid of them and just have the eyes? Remember that was the thing?
Q cures him in one of the episodes.
Ah.
Aye. I don't remember why he turns it down, but Q gives him eyes, so
There
he
you
does
go.
see for the first time.
Let's move on because we could talk about Star Trek.
I was
all
going
day.
to say the big jellyfish reminded me. Do you remember the Doctor Who episode, The Beast Below? That was one of Matt Smith's first episodes. That was really good.
Maybe.
Anyway,
I'm getting old, man.
5.5.
Right, let's talk about video games now because I want to get this 1990 gives me the opportunity to finally talk about one of my favourite games of all time, and it's a game called Parodius. When I'm in my grave, people might say, "What game was Rab good at back when he was alive before he died, before he's in his grave?" And people will say, "He was good at Parodius." Parodius first arrived in arcades in 1990. It is essentially a comedy version of Gradius. Imagine that. Imagine a company releasing a game that everybody liked, and then they went, "One will do a fucking piss take it now." People in the boardroom like that. Actually, people like this game and they take it quite seriously. And they're like, "Nah, fuck it. One will do a piss take now. One will do a parody of that game." That's essentially what Parodius is. It's like a light-hearted version of what Gradius was. Well, Vic Viper, your pilot from Gradius, is in this game. And this is the game that if a guy, some kind of maniac, was to hold a gun to my head and say, "What game do you want to play for your life?" I would choose Parodius. Every version of Parodius, I've played them all and I'm good at them all. But the reason why I'm making such a major point about how good I am at this is this footage that I've taken is a fucking disaster. This footage of this immaculate game that, while it's comedic, still retains everything that makes a shoot 'em up game great. This game that is best in class and that I have spent years mastering skills in. The minute I sit down to record footage for this fucking show that the audience are watching, an audience that have been with me and Ryan for a long time, look, I fucking died. And Guffed are watching this. Guffed are saying, "Oh, this guy's an experienced games guy. He's a good guy to present CVXX. He's a good guy to cover video games on this." And I completely fucking show my arse in this footage. I'll try and keep talking about the game. What you're supposed to do in the game is, just like in Gradius, you pick up power-ups and you can manually choose what you do with your power-ups. You can choose a wee missile, you can have a wee double bullet if you want, which you baff your head to choose. I hate that. What you just saw there a second ago was a roulette that happens sometimes where you need to time where to stop it to choose which power-up you want. Really, you want lots of options trailing around behind you. That's what you're after. The special addition to Parodius is the addition of bells that appear, and you can shoot these bells to get more points, or you can shoot these bells to get things like a megaphone that allows you to shout abuse. You can shout abuse through a megaphone and blow up all the enemies. The game's absolutely fantastic, but as you saw there, I fucking died. The first boss that appears in the game, I just died. My arse is collapsing. The pressure's fucking getting to me. I'm shooting this wee cat. I mean, I do make it further into the game, you know, taking out your penguin with the sore belly button, right? I do get there. And I get further to the clowns with the fucking flashing bowler hats or whatever, right? But the point is, I don't understand in all the years I've been doing these fucking shows, why when you're taking footage, it's the worst fucking... Sorry, Guffed. Ryan, it's your turn now. Introduce us to some wonderful 1990 game.
I'll pick something out of my collection that I've currently got in 1990. Ooh, listen to that. That's nice. Slick. Kinda makes you want to go to the toilets and snort some cocaine. This is the Killing Game Show. Said it like a chuckter. This is the Killing Game Show by Psygnosis. I went the wrong way. I'm already dead. It's too late. You went the wrong fucking way. You're dead already. You're not meant to be shooting them. Brutal. Absolutely brutal is what this game is. It looks good. See, this is going to sound very familiar. It's a Psygnosis game that it looks good, and God, I'm struggling to think of examples that play worse than this game. It's horrible to play. I mean, to be fair to Psygnosis, that's true of a lot of their games that they're absolutely atrocious to play, but this in particular is just not fun at all. I know it is the Killing, and I don't mean it's called the Killing Game Show, so you're going to die all the time, but I'm not going to say you're not going to die all the time in the way that you die in Dark Souls. You're just going to die all the time because the level design is fucking rubbish. And through each level that you're in, you've got this rising tide of that nice I genuinely believe that might have been the starting point for the development of this game. They went, what if we have a platformer? What about Rainbow Islands? But the water that's coming up is kind of cool and cyberpunky looking. Let's start there. Alright, what do we need? A robot thing? What about like an Ed 209 kind of looking thing for Robocop? This feature I do like. You can watch the replay up to the point that you fucked up, and then you can take control. That's quite a nifty feature. Quite a needed feature as well, because you die all the time in this headache of a game. I'm quite surprised that this came out in 1991. In my memory I had this as a later Amiga title, but this is reasonably early into, like, certainly mine and Robert's Amiga ownership time. It's very early on, 1990. The music is, it's exceptional. That's the only thing that makes it worth playing. Is the music is, like, you would dance in a nightclub to this. Weird to think back to playing this all the many years ago, and how when I was playing it even back then I was like, what, there's something no right here, because I'm playing this because it looks fucking cool and it's in my house and it looks fucking cool, and that's why I'm playing it, because it looks fucking cool, but there's something no right here. Now I know, because I'm pushing 50, that what is up with this game is that it's fucking shite. It's absolutely shite. Plays like crap, the music's abysmal. I mean, it looks kinda fun, I suppose. I mean, I suppose I'm being a bit harsh. It's just, what pushes me into being harsh is it really plays very badly. You go in the wrong direction in this game, you're dead. That's it. You're dead. You went in the wrong direction, you didn't do the level perfectly. How could you have known to do it perfectly? Well, you couldn't have known. It's overly harsh, and the positives do not outweigh the negatives. Also, the computers can't handle what's happening here, so there's regular slowdown. It comprises of so many things that it makes me think of so many things that it's like it doesn't know how to be its own thing. Do you know what I mean by that? It makes me think of the Running Man and Robocop and Mario. Mario's like a Japanese platformer. The water comes up like in Rainbow Islands. It just, everything seems to be for somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? It isn't its own thing. Do you know what I mean by that? It just isn't its own thing. It's like a lot of things. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You're not answering that. Also, did I mention how fucking terrible it plays?
Beautiful stuff. An important time in gaming. Again, a transitional time, I would say. The Game Boy. The Game Boy's out. The Super NES is just launched. Things are just getting up and running on the Super NES front.
You've not got a Super NES though in 1990.
No, have a fuck, man. I'm still playing my Amiga.
Transitional. Archie McPherson commentates his last football match.
Archie McPherson commentated his last football match.
It was the Scotland versus Brazil World Cup match. Remember that one? I remember wearing it with a Brazil tap on and wrapped in a Scotland flag, sitting in my bedroom.
What was the score?
Brazil 1-1 though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I maybe do remember that. I would have watched it. with my dad.
It's Italia 90 in 1990.
Italia 90, man. See, when you think of World Cups, I think of Italia 90. That was my World Cup. That was the World Cup for me.
McPherson got a flick. McCall has scored for Scotland.
What's our next bit of content, Ryan?
So we've done a telly. Do you want to do a telly or a film?
I just wanted to quickly do a wee shout out to Guft. Guft have given me a lot of support over the past wee while. I had a really upset stomach last week, and Guft managed to give me some of their new anti-diarrhea medicine, which was really the best anti-diarrhea medicine I've ever
Mm-hmm.
taken. And I consider myself I don't want to blow my own trumpet too much, but I consider myself a connoisseur of anti-diarrhea medication.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Is it easy to take the medication? Is it?
no, it's really difficult to take,
But it works.
but it works. Listen, see when you've got diarrhea that keeps you awake all night.
And I'm like, I just want to stop you and say, like, it would be uncomfortable if there were viewers out there who are finding this like amusing and like, but it's you know, you need to be open and talk about these things.
Yeah. Ever since I didn't have any issues with diarrhea until I started working with Guft.
Mm-hmm.
But the diarrhea since we started doing CVXX has been, you know,
Explosive.
Yeah. And but Guft that was one of the things I said. I said, look, I love doing the show and I love everything about it. A wee bit of negative is the diarrhea.
That's sorted now.
Yeah, I think. Well, the medication
You need to stay on it.
though.
You need to stay on the medication.
Oh yeah, it's
for it to
permanent.
work. Aye.
It's permanent.
Aye.
It's permanent. I mean, it's a chronic
How
condition.
many times a day do you take it?
17.
We definitely need to see this film in 1990. This is one of the films that is a VHS X rental film, is what I think of when I first think of this film. It's starring Sean Penn and John Turturro and Ed Harris and John C. Reilly and loads of other cracking actors. I've forgotten the actress's name again.
Fuck's sake, Robin Wright.
Sorry, mate.
She's
Robin.
absolutely brilliant in it.
Sorry, Robin. She is brilliant. It's State of Grace. State of Grace is a neo-noir crime film. Sean Penn plays a cop in it, an undercover cop, and he is infiltrating his childhood neighbourhood as an undercover cop.
Old MacDonald had a farm, neo noir.
Gary Oldman, I missed out. He's one of the cast members.
Did you not mention Gary Oldman when you said he was in it?
No, or fucking Robin Wright.
He's completely forgettable. He's forgettable in it.
John C. Reilly.
Gary
I
Oldman.
mean, how good is John C. Reilly? How good is he?
Listen, so State of Grace. State of Grace is a forgotten. I think it's pretty much a forgotten movie. And there's a reason why it struggled.
Was it ever noticed? Oh, did it ever make much of an impact?
It struggled to make much of an impact because it was a gangster drama that came out in 1990 within 5 days of Goodfellas coming out in the cinema. So
That's interesting.
So they were cooked. They were cooked by Goodfellas. I'm going to say something here which will raise eyebrows across the nation. The tens of thousands of people who listen, hundreds of thousands of people who listen to this show and watch this show are going to raise eyebrows when I say this.
Carry on.
I like this film better than Goodfellas.
But how recently have you seen Goodfellas? I've seen Goodfellas within the last couple of months, and I would say the opposite.
You like Goodfellas more?
I think Goodfellas is a better film.
I've not seen Goodfellas in years.
I was blown away when I watched. We shouldn't be talking about fucking other films. Well, it was.
That's fine. It's 1990.
Aye. I was blown away by the editing in Goodfellas because I've seen this film to death. So I was going. I know this film inside out because it's one of the films. For some reason, I was allowed to watch it when I shouldn't have been allowed to watch it because there's so much swearing and violence in Goodfellas. But we had it on VHS. I think it was taped at. It was maybe on Channel 4 late one night, so it was taped on VHS. And so I've done some kind of autistic thing where I've watched it repeatedly. So I know the film inside out, and know tiny details that most people wouldn't have noticed. But I was blown away by the editing on rewatching Goodfellas. It's so fluid a film. It's really very, very skillfully put together. In terms of like storytelling, I think it's much better than State of Grace. State of Grace at times to me, I don't. It sounds like a far harsher criticism because I do like the film, but it felt a lot more contrived sometimes. Also, the ending is so blunt and to the point of being a wee bit confusing. like I'm left feeling a wee bit confused by the end of the film.
Well, Goodfellas for me, and I'm going by memory because the last time I saw Goodfellas is maybe
Like the performance. What's interesting about it is I would say the performances.
What are you talking about, Goodfellas?
Between the two films, the performances are definitely different, but they're both crime dramas. But the performances in State of Grace are so real. They're really, really hard-edged and real. And I don't know whether that's the Sean Penn effect because he does seem to have his work ethic does seem to have that effect sometimes on the people around him. But the chemistry between the characters in State of Grace and, as I say, that hard edge is different for the performances in Goodfellas, which are brilliant in a completely different way.
I just always felt the Goodfellas, and again, last time I saw it was when I was in my 20s, that it felt almost cartoonish.
Little tiny bit more in that direction than State of Grace is.
A wee bit cartoonish and a wee bit like it didn't. I don't think Goodfellas is a film that stays with you emotionally. If you know what I mean,
it's like it is a crime film, but Scorsese being Scorsese, there's a romanticism to him. So there's a kind of softness and romanticism to the film that there isn't in State of Grace.
It's an interesting thing because I think with Scorsese, I prefer his earthier, more real kind of his. Like I love a lot of people don't like Raging Bull. I love Raging Bull and I love Taxi Driver, and I don't love so much Goodfellas. I really didn't like Wolf of Wall Street at all. I don't love when he's in that kind of heightened cartoonish mode. I love it more when he's in that kind of darker, more dangerous. My favourite Scorsese film is, of course, though, Age of Innocence is my favourite.
I was just about to ask you where that ranks.
Yeah. And I love After Hours as well, which is a comedy. I think Scorsese's a fucking genius, man. There's so many his films I love. Just Goodfellas as you know, one that I remembered, yeah, this is good, but I didn't think it didn't leave a lasting impression on me. Anyway, we're talking about State of Grace.
When was the last time you saw Taxi Driver?
What?
When was the last time you saw Taxi Driver?
About 5 years ago or something.
It's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Unbelievable.
So, State of Grace. First thing you need to say about State of Grace. So, like Ryan said, it's about a guy, and it is. Listen, this is the thing. I think you're saying about the story being quite contrived and all that, right? This is about a simpler story.
Oh, aye.
It's the easiest story to follow in the world, and it's all right there for the start. And it kind of doesn't develop in any direction that surprises or anything. It's purely this. Sean Penn's a cop, goes back to the old neighbourhood, and is taking down the guys he grew up with. That's it. That is it. And
who hasn't seen for 12 years.
Yeah, and it remains it, right?
Who the fuck is this?
What do you want?
Whatever you have.
Hey, fuck you.
Are you trying to hurt my feelings? Not gonna introduce me to your friends? Nothing?
Terry.
Well, that took you fucking long enough.
Terry.
No, Terry. Hey, motherfucker.
Fucking.
Come here.
Hey! Oh, where you fucking been, man? Oh, man. Wow, it's great to fucking see you. Hey.
But here's the thing about State of Grace, and this is why I love it so much, right? Is that for the first beat of the film, right for the opening credits, right for the opening titles, you have Ennio Morricone.
Which are beautiful.
Beautiful. One of the best opening titles you'll ever see.
It made me think about the simpleness of the text on how much I've always appreciated that. Like just the simple text. And,
well, it's a completely unfussy movie, kind of, and it's like, but it has this beautiful Morricone theme that right for the start of the film says to you, this is just sad.
This is going to be sad.
This is just a sad story, right? Right for the get-go, and right for the fucking opening. And I don't really want to spoil too much. There's not that much you can spoil really about State of Grace, because like I said, because it does just play out like, what do you think would happen if you went back to your old neighbourhood secretly as a police and tried to ruin your pals' lives, right? That is essentially that.
Is it the first? I think it was the first love scene between
Robin Wright and Sean Penn.
Aye.
Who met on this, I think, didn't they, and get married? The chemistry between them was fucking electric.
Brilliant. The first love scene has that music through it.
Yeah.
And this scene is supposed to be like they've not seen each other. They'd previously been in some kind of younger, messier relationship. And him leaving kind of coincided with them breaking up the first time.
Yeah.
So they're reconnecting, and this reconnection should be like some kind of celebration.
Happy.
And the music just kind of laces through it like pure tragedy.
Yeah.
Terry, what is it?
Right away, pretty much, when Penn turns up in the old neighbourhood, he meets his old mate Jack, who's played by Gary Oldman. And
who's turned up to 11.
I think his performance is just fucking incredible in this film.
I would say this is like a 5-year window where it's peak Gary Oldman.
This is Gary Oldman's favourite performance, his favourite performance. Right. And this performance by Gary Oldman, I remember reading Leonardo DiCaprio talking about it, and he said this was all that young team. DiCaprio not at the time said we wanted to be this fucking actor, this guy. This was like the most inspirational performance we'd seen.
He's like you know, in America you see on hot days they'll bang the top of the fire hydrant off and the water will just be spraying out. That's kind of like what he is all the time. He's just walking about just fucking hemorrhaging emotion and reactions.
He has this incredible chaotic energy. He's like a frightening. I saw somebody saying, like, he's even more mental than Joe Pesci's character in Goodfellas, right?
Well, Pesci's character's sinister. As I say, this guy's just an open valve.
Yeah, the characters couldn't be more different. And this is the distinction, I think, between Goodfellas and this, is that Joe Pesci's character in Goodfellas, to my memory, again, you don't feel a great deal of humanity. He doesn't feel that real, that character. That feels quite a
part of why I love Goodfellas above, part of why I would put it above State of Grace is that's the accomplishment of it, is that all the characters are a den of fucking vipers. None of them are to be trusted or liked. Yeah. But somehow you're still watching and you're compelled and you do come close to.
Well, it's about, but Goodfellas has a different vibe in it, because it's about all these terrible people, but the world is attractive. The world is really seductive, which is essentially what Wolf of Wall Street is about. It's the same thing. There's all these terrible people, but it's a seductive world that you want to be a made man in, right? And State of Grace is completely fucking different, because the whole angle of State of Grace is about, I want out of this world. I want to escape for this world. I don't want to be here. And Gary Oldman's character has, even though he's immediately, for the minute you see him, you go, this guy's fucking dangerous, he's mental, he's all of that, you fucking feel for him right for the get-go, I think. You really feel...
They keep going on about stuff like they're reconnecting. It's been a long time, so they're talking about the old neighbourhood and how things have changed, and you definitely get that sense of, like, the rug's being pulled out from under them, like they don't know what to do with themselves, sort of thing. There's just
and his warmth when he sees Terry and recognises him and realises this is his old mate back in the neighbourhood, the joy that comes out of him is just, you know, you kind of immediately, and then they're kind of capering about and they're having a laugh and stuff, and you just really warm to the character, despite the fact He's a he's a terrible.
He's a psychopath.
He's a psychopath, despite the fact he's a psychopath. And you've got this beautiful thing where Sean Penn. There's a great scene, by the way, at the start where there's these frozen hands in the freezer that they use for fingerprints.
That's like, I don't know. So I do appreciate actors, but sometimes I'm like, they're overrated. But then I saw the chemistry between them in that scene.
The two of them as they're messing about with these
so
frozen
good.
hands.
So
and
good.
It's, you believe these guys have been mates for years.
Aye.
They're looking for a dead man.
This is somebody's hands?
Yeah. Hey.
What are you touching them for?
Terry, meet Flynn.
Yo, no, don't fuck with me. No, don't fuck with me. Don't. You're gonna get fucked. The way you touch somebody's hands.
You scared?
Get the fuck.
All right, hands up.
Put him back.
How natural this. You've got to. I mean, this is the second time Sean Penn has featured in CVXX. Obviously, we did at close range before. I would never see if somebody says to me, "Who's your favourite actors?" I would never say Sean Penn. And then I watch stuff like this, and I kind of go, "Why am I not saying Sean Penn?" Because I fucking love this guy. Whenever I've seen anything I've ever seen him in,
He definitely takes his craft seriously.
He absolutely does. And what's beautiful about this performance for Sean Penn as well is that he is able to kind of step back and allow people to shine in the scenes. He kind of does in this film a wee bit what Walken does at close range.
I think where he kind of
where he knows when to step up and he knows when to kind of step back and just let people do their thing. And he
It was not just because Sean Penn was on it, but it was the strength of the cast and State of Grace reminded me of At Close Range and how there's no really any, because I kept watching it going, when's the weak link coming? And there's no weak link.
You're not going to find one. Everybody's brilliant in this.
When she comes in and it's Sean Penn, I think Sean Penn and Gary Oldman have been on a bender or something.
Yeah.
He's forgotten about he was supposed to go and meet his sister, and she walks in and she's the fucking confidence that she's got, and she's so fucking strong.
The confidence that this actor has walking into a scene with Gary Oldman and Sean Penn, you know what I mean? It's like two fucking heavyweights. You'd be shitting yourself, and she's brilliant. She's brilliant in this film, and then also Ed Harris.
I wonder if it helps because I'm talking to my arse, I think, but you know about how her character throughout the film, the tragedy of that love scene that I'm talking about is that part of her character is that she has no interest in this world. Like she's walked away from the neighbourhood and the world of crime, and she's clean and she's
more than the interest. Like she's went and she's reinvented herself. She's moved to another area. She's like she wants away from it. She hates it.
Like seems to genuinely believe herself like kind of above it. Like she's evolved past it and she's above it. So I'm wondering whether that helps the performance because she has such confidence when she's talking to Sean Penn and Gary.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And Ed Harris as well. Like Ed Harris is her older brother, and she's the same with him. Like it's like she has no.
Well, Ed Harris's character
time for them.
Intimidates everybody except her because she's removed herself from this world.
What?
What do you mean, what?
Oh, you got this look. What's this look?
I'm trying to remember how I feel about you.
That hard?
Right.
I think I'm pissed.
To explain as well, again, I don't want to go into heavy spoiler territory because I would love for people that listen to this to watch this film. But Ed Harris is running the show now. It's an Irish gang in Hell's Kitchen. There's a beautiful stuff at the start about the gentrification of Hell's Kitchen as well. There's that kind of hangs over the thing about how Hell's Kitchen is changing. And what they're trying to do, this Irish gang, is they're trying to form this business relationship with the Italian mob that they think is going to improve their life. And
Well,
this is the sad thing about it, because they're deadbeats. They're turning our wee fucking community businesses and stuff like that. They're no glamorous gangsters like the gangsters in Goodfellas.
No,
they're fucking.
There's no. I mean, that would probably be happening on the Italian side, because they're a much bigger organisation. So there's maybe a kind of bubble that you could hide in. Probably
Every time the Italians are in it, they're patronising to the Irish. They kind of treat the Irish like they're. Mind
that scene where he crumbles the biscuit. He has a biscoff or something that crumbles on the table.
Yeah.
And the Italian guy's like, was it Vetrioli?
Yeah, something like that.
It's like kind of almost giving him a wee reprimand, like you would a child for making a mess on the table.
In fact, Ed Harris, though, he cleans up some of it before he even gets told.
Frankie, don't make a mess. You kids from the west side.
It's that interesting thing where Ed Harris's character is this intimidating gang boss guy who's even able to kind of take charge of Gary Oldman's character, who's off his head, but he's a fucking pussy around the Italians.
I'm sure he's also talking about a payday as well. I think that's basically what his long game is with the Italians, is that he's going to get one.
But he's also wanting it.
He's getting a payday just so he can escape. So there's no like plan for like the family or anything like that.
No.
He's just like, no.
He's also wanting it. He's like, it's over.
He appears to be fiercely disloyal. Ed Harris, like entirely out for himself.
Yeah. But again, just another, and this is the thing that hangs over the whole film, is that you've got all of these people in a terrible situation. Sean Penn, by the way, is not excited about the fact he's went back to his old neighbourhood to do this. It's torturing him that he's doing it. He's made the decision. He thought it would be easy. He thought the idea of almost like confronting his past has been what it's about. He has a beautiful speech later in the thing about believing in a state of grace and believing in.
That's close to the end of the film, and that's the first time the word contrived jumped into my head, because as good as his performance is, I don't know, it just felt a little bit forced, that the title of the film. Maybe it's just, I don't know, it was jarring for me that it was the title of the film that he was quoting in the speech.
But it's, I wonder though, I don't think there's anything, I miss that. I miss when films used to be.
So a state of grace, like, how would you define this state of grace then? It's a
believing that you've got God's kind of, that you're
blessing.
Yeah, you've got God's blessing. You're moving within God's kind of divine, like you've got an element of being in God's divine light about you.
You're part of the music.
Yeah, and you can, and that's kind of the thing about him being a cop. He's moved away, he's become a completely different thing. He's become a cop, and then he comes back, and it's, it's something he's believed in, but it doesn't. When it meets reality, when a concept like that meets reality, it doesn't.
But he's obviously speaking at this time in a very, very cynical place where terrible tragedies have occurred.
Yes.
But it was only an idea. It had nothing to do with the truth. It's just a fucking idea, like. You believe in angels or the saints, or there's such a thing as a state of grace. And you believe it. But it's got nothing to do with reality.
I love how messy the gang are.
I
love how they go out and do a thing, and then the gang are all fighting each other and all that. I love the messy.
They're all at their face as well. They're all at their tree and drunk and other stuff.
They're all boozers.
When Stevie dies and Gary Oldman basically just can't handle it, he says, I feel like I'm on Mars.
Yeah.
It's just so, like, he's so scary and psychotic, but also so vulnerable at the same time. It's such a good.
I think it's a beautiful script. Like, I love when John Turturro.
These scenes when Penn goes to see Turturro, I'm like, this is like watching a fucking stage play in the middle of the film.
Well, this is the thing. It's Dennis McIntyre who wrote the script. He was a playwright. This is the only film he ever wrote. and he was a playwright.
The director didn't do anything of note either. He did like a load of U2 videos.
A load of U2 videos, and he made a Richard Gere film and stuff. But I know, no really had the career that you would hope for after this. And Dennis McIntyre, who wrote the script, died 6 months before it came out, so he never even got to see it, which is a shame. But just lots of great lines, like when Turturro challenges Sean Penn on because Sean Penn's struggling with doing it. And Turturro's like, I thought you all were meant to be tough. And he's like, we're no tough, we're just crazy. Which I fucking loved. Because that sums up Jack as well. It sums up Gary Oldman's character, is that he's frightening and intimidating, but he's no fuck, man. He's no tough.
He's completely lost.
He's no tough. He's the most emotional. Here's what I love about this, right? Here's what I love about State of Grace. You watch your average gangster film, right? And when somebody gets whacked in it, right? You kind of move on. It happens and it's like shock, and then you move on. A character gets whacked in this film, and they grieve him for the rest of the film.
As you would. For the rest of your life.
They grieve him for the rest of the film. They spend a good 20 minutes after the film of people just struggling to move on after this thing has happened. It hangs over the whole fucking thing. And you don't see that. Normally you don't see that in a gangster film. Normally you just... It's kind of like, well, this thing has happened. Let's move on to the next whack job. And you know what I mean? And I love the fact that they're grieving for so long.
Having said that, once the whack jobs start, they don't stop.
No, once they start, they don't stop. And Sean Penn eventually, it's not as a huge spoiler to say, he tells...
I don't know whether we're dealing in spoilers. So you might just have to deal with spoilers, because I want to talk about stuff as well.
Yeah, I know.
We also need to crack on.
I know. Again, it's one of these. I just think the film is all heart, and I'll spoil at least one bit, which is that he does at one point, and it's midway through the film, he confesses to Robin Wright's character that he is a cop.
It was never in any doubt.
And it's a beautiful scene.
Even before, it's so good that even before he even gets to the neighbourhood and he meets his pals, but certainly as soon as he meets Gary Oldman and they connect again, there's never any doubt that he's not going to be able to do. He's not a cop anymore. It's like once he connects to his friends and he realises what it means to him, and this is what, like, how fondly he remembers, he's never going to be able to do his job anymore. They mean more to him.
Yeah, everybody's...
He's shouting at John Turturro, where are you, basically, the way people in Glasgow do, where you fae?
Aye, where you fae? You don't fucking...
I don't fucking know you, where you fae?
Aye. And and when he tells her he's a cop, he's fucking heartbroken. I'm a Judas cop, he says. And here's the beautiful thing about the film, right? Because she's this character who hates that world, hates that life, hates all of them, and the fact, it doesn't hate her brothers, but hates that they do this, and has moved away and wants nothing to do with it, right? And is struggling with her relationship with Sean Penn, because she's like, you're pulling me back into this world if I'm being with you. So when he tells her he's a cop...
What are you doing? Come here.
I'm a cop. I'm a cop. I'm a fucking Judas cop.
You genuinely don't know how she's going to react. See, in that moment after it, you don't know whether she's going to be like, oh my God, thank God you're no one of them, you're a cop. Or she's going to be like, you're a fucking rat. Or you don't know. And that's how well they've built this world of... these people are doing fucking terrible things, but they're all just kind of trying to survive in their own way. They're all just trying to escape in their own way. They're all kind of all these rats in a cage, the same rats in a cage. And that defines it, that moment where you're like, what is she going to do now? Just shows you how well they've done that. And the film's just fucking all heart. This is the thing. I just think the film is all heart. Everybody's really giving it their everything. I think they know the material's good. There's a bit where Robin Wright is shouting at him and she storms out the door, and she's so into the scene that she kind of catches her arm on the door. It looks sore as fuck, doesn't it? It looks, she's definitely outside that door going, are you fucking... You know what I mean? And they're all so into it.
You think you can come to me whenever you fucking want, and you just reach inside me and you just pop. You can't.
I love you.
You're a liar. I met you before. You're a fucking liar. You shut up.
talked about good lines. When Sean Penn is trying to track down what happens to Stevie, he pulls a gun on that the bartender that Stevie get walked out on, and while he's got a gun to the bartender's head, I think the bartender's saying something like, "What you don't want to do this, or what you doing this for?" And Sean Penn says,
Nobody's doing nothing to nobody. It's all just happening, see?
Yeah, it's fucking brilliant. And he does say that later again in the speech as well. He says something like, things happening and that's your life. That's a fucking that's just, I just think there's some great stuff, and there's a beautiful Burgess Meredith is in this for one scene where Sean Penn just turns up and it's a guy that knew his dad.
he's eating stewed tomatoes.
He's eating stewed tomatoes and it's a beautiful fucking scene.
Who'd you see?
Swear to God, I didn't see nothing. I saw nothing. I did nothing. I'm here eating the stewed tomatoes out of a can.
Did you love that wee con job that he tried to pull on Sean Penn, where he's trying to reminisce about how much Sean Penn's dad used to show him pictures of him and stuff like that when they were playing cars, and Sean Penn's like, my dad was a fucking alky, pay me attention, don't try it, old man.
Yeah. It's really beautiful stuff. But again,
the ending, can we talk about the ending of the film? Because it's so...
I think you can talk...
It's such an explosion. Like, it isn't good. It's not a good ending, is it?
What do you mean good? Good in what sense?
I mean, it's no good for anybody. I mean, it's not a happy ending.
No. But you know it's never going to be a happy ending.
Aye.
That's what I'm saying. The film tells you for the opening that this is not a happy film. What is surprising about the ending is what you kind of don't expect. I think it's like a really best in class kind of action scene almost. I think it's really beautiful. Which
there were a good few scenes throughout it where the first one might have been Gary Oldman sitting at the bar. A few times they dropped out like any like music, but they would also drop out any like incidental sound and stuff like that. So they would give you like a silent kind of ambient shot where you would just hear a person breathing or something like that. They did that a few times, like made things really intimate and took you in with them. And the gun scene kind of played with that a wee bit as well. Everything kind of got quiet and you felt the bullets ripping through fabric and things like that.
Yeah. You say it's not a good ending. I think it's a good ending maybe for...
I love this film. I think it's like, I think it's probably the ending that it needs, but it just felt, it just feels like nothing, there's no resolution really. It's more like just a violent explosion at the end.
It's a resolution, I think, for Robin Wright's character, in a sense. But
not really, because she's not going to walk away unscathed. She'll still...
Yeah, I mean, obviously she doesn't, aye. But, I mean, anyway, so we're talking in too vague a form, but it's just, I think with being a music video director as well, who directed this, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Phil Joannou, I think, maybe. When being a music video director, he understands he's got brilliant music here in this film, Ennio Morricone, and he uses it a lot, and he uses it, like Ryan said, in a love scene to tell you, no, don't be feeling good about it. As beautiful as this love scene is, don't be feeling good about it. How can you feel good about it? And right up to the death, it's like that. Right up to the death, it has this, it's like a kind of pain all the way through. It's like pushing a bruise all the way through it, where you just know, and it's very downbeat. But such a, again, even in that the last moments of the film, it's such a beautiful looking film, and a beautiful looking,
very well composed,
beautiful looking and beautiful sounding film. But
the opening shots of the film, I mean, you're already buzzing for the beautiful titles, but the opening shots for a good 10-15 minutes are fucking brilliant. Like,
there's just no way you would have a shot though of when you put this film up against something like Goodfellas. You're going to the pictures to buy your box of popcorn to watch a film. It's no surprise that something like Goodfellas is going to draw the eye, because it's colourful and cartoonish and it's big and it's...
But it's also really fluid and...
Yeah, I'm not criticising it. I'm just saying, from a tonal point of view.
This guy was a music director. That was something that I was thinking about this film, like, because I do this all the time when I'm thinking about films, like, overall, like, it's a taste thing as well, but I always think of films as like, oh, I liked these sections, like there are these bits that felt like they fit together, but overall the film didn't. And I thought that about State of Grace as well. Like, there's so many great films. Performance is absolutely astonishing. It's beautifully filmed and composed and lit and all that. But there's no a bittiness to it, but there's lulls that make me not feel as enthusiastic about the film. Overall,
there's a bit of it really leans into mood a lot, and you know, there's no a great deal that happens in it. So that, you know, so it doesn't have the pace in it. Something like Goodfellas, definitely. But I think if you're wanting to watch a film that has really unbelievable performances, that
actually it reminds me a wee bit also of. Have you ever seen Nil by Mouth, the Gary Oldman film that he directed?
I don't think I've seen it now.
It's got, what's his name in it that does the Paddy Power adverts?
Ray Winston.
Ray Winston, aye, and Kathy Burke. It's like really grim and gritty and stuff, but it does that thing where you're kind of just watching. Like, you have that. I have this thing where I'm like, oh, the characters didn't progress and stuff, or like the story wasn't. It just kind of happened. Like, it has that kind of air that State of Grace has, where it's like, oh, the story wasn't like really like. Yeah, very dramatic around like that. It just kind of happened. But as I say, I love the film. I love it.
But it's that I like that about it as well. I like that about this guy's went back to the old neighbourhood, and he's almost like shocked at how much the same it is. These characters don't fucking change. They resist change. They see Hell's Kitchen changing around them and they hate it.
I suppose people do that, don't they?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's guys. I just need to go on my Facebook, and there's guys that I was at school with who are almost. They seem to be living exactly the same kind of way, or, you know what I mean, than they used to. And, you know, it's like that. It kind of challenges you to think, man, if you did go back and started hanging about with your old pals again, it would, you know, really open up. I think it works on that level as well, the film. Anyway, I would highly fucking recommend it.
It's a cracker. It's an absolute cracker.
I love it. Right, can I talk to you now about a proto RPG action proto? I don't know what it is. It's called ActRaiser, though, on the Super Nintendo.
ActRaiser?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first time I played ActRaiser on the Super Nintendo was on a friend's Super Nintendo, because of course I didn't have a Super Nintendo back then. I had an Amiga. So what am I doing talking about Super Nintendo games? Well, ActRaiser made a very big impression on me back in the day. ActRaiser came out in Japan at the end of 1990, and I remember playing it later in the 90s on a mate's Super Nintendo, and I thought to myself, fucking hell, there's quite a lot going on here, isn't there? This seemed at that time like a game with immense scale and scope. So what is ActRaiser about? Well, this is a copy of ActRaiser that I repurchased just over the past year or two, because I've been kind of trying to fill in the gaps in my collection, and I thought I need some of these Super Nintendo classics. ActRaiser is an odd game where a part of the game, half the game, is a kind of 2D platformy combat kind of dungeon crawly game, and the other half of the game is like a world management thing. I know, like I said, it blew my mind back in the early 90s. So here you can see an example of the monster fighting part of the game. And in that, you're a god in this game. You're not actually something that really exists in the world. You're a god that has influence over the world. And in these sections, you animate this kind of stone idol who then goes into these areas to clear them out of monsters. Now, the reason why you're clearing the area out of monsters is because it allows your people to progress and advance as a society, because they aren't being annoyed by monsters anymore and they aren't scared by monsters anymore. This really feels like quite a clever and advanced idea for a game in 1990, doesn't it? Pretty fucking hard, these bits, by the way. ActRaiser is a game that I've still never finished. Now, it's not a difficult game and it's not a long game, but it's just I've not had the chance to properly sit down and play it. I just remember seeing my pal's version of it and having a wee shot and being like, oh my god, this is maybe the biggest game I've ever seen. Of course, it isn't really a big game. It's just a beautifully constructed and a beautifully dressed game. So, this is the copy of the game that I'm playing at the minute. Well, that was too bad, Sir Latrey, but I know you'll never give up. This wee person, this wee angel, is a really encouraging wee soul who acts as your kind of envoy down on Earth. As you see your people talk to you. Come, my master, since the last lair has been sealed, added that, something strange has been happening to me. I have the same nightmare every night. In my nightmare, the gruesome monster, Minotaurus, appears through a big hole to the southeast. He says he will bring our people death. Right, so your people get scared of the big bosses that exist in the world, and then you have to go down and fight them. In this world building bit, your wee angel goes about shooting monsters, and you decide how to lay out the land, and the people go about and build the land. You also get spells that allow you to, you know, make weather and cast lightning to blow things up and all that. It's a really fantastic idea for a game. It's calming, it's fun, it has its challenge, and look at the wee people. Look at the wee people building the wee houses. Fucking magic.
Give us some of your wonderful game knowledge.
Here's it, go. Here we go. Woof. Oh, if you're my age or around about my age, you will have very vivid memories of standing next to the pit fighter cabinet. He's on the roids. Standing next to the pit fighter cabinet and going, I wish I had money to play Pit Fighter. And you needed money to play Pit Fighter. Well, obviously, because it was an arcade game, so you can't play an arcade game without any money. But you needed a lot of money to play Pit Fighter, because the whole MO of Pit Fighter is it's a robbing bastard. Look at this action, man. So convincing. Convincing jump. Convincing slam. Oh, boast. Aye, Pit Fighter, it looks like a fighting game, like other fighting games. It looks, for the time, unbelievably advanced. You looked like you were playing an actual human man because of the technologies that were involved. But it isn't really a fighting game, it's just a robbing bastard. It's just trying to get as much money out of you as possible. It's a very, very, very unfair video game, as slick as it looks. Amazingly, this is 2 whole years before Mortal Kombat. But Mortal Kombat's an actual good fighting game that you can still play to this day. Whereas Pit Fighter, as I think I've quite firmly established, is a robbing bastard. For some reason they ported it as well to pretty much any system that could just about handle it. I think this is a SNES version. It was hard to tell what versions I was playing online. Definitely know the arcade version, but near enough. Near enough. You can tell it's the same game. You can tell it's still shite. You can tell it's still random button bashing shite. I wish I could think of a pun, like some kind of pun about the name of this game, but I've been thinking about it and I can't. Big leg. But oh, he got me back. Big leg. Big leg. Big leg. It's a bad game. It's a really bad game, and it's difficult to describe to you just exactly how popular this game was at the time as well. Really, it was really, really popular. So popular that they ported it to every system that was available. You could play it 2-player and even 3-player. You could play it. It didn't improve the experience. In fact, and in many ways, it made it a lot worse. It's not that many steps up for a puggy. Really, that's, you know what I mean by that, a slot machine. It's not that many rungs up for just a big thieving bastard puggy. Pit Fighter, here, I've got one now, I've got one. I thought about it for a few days and I came back. Pit Fighter, is that what you're calling this game? Is it called Pit Fighter? Is it? Well, I don't really like this game, so I've got some negative things to say about it, and I would like to say that isn't it called Pit Fighter? What if it was called Shit Piper? Shit Fight? No, Shit Shiter. Shit Shiter. Pit Fighter! Shit shiter, me like. 1 TV to go, Robert. You ready? We need to be fast about this.
1 TV to go. Oh yeah, we do need to be fast about this.
Thankfully, I remember Stars in Their Eyes. I remember Stars in Their Eyes being much longer. I had it in that Saturday TV time slot of like 45, 50 minutes, but this is only like 26, 27 minutes. Have you ever seen this before? Have you seen this before, this first series of Stars in Their Eyes?
Well, you know, here's the shock, right? So we sat down, I say we, by we I mean me, sat down to watch episode
You in
1.
your shoes?
Episode 1 of Stars in Their Eyes, right? And Leslie Crowther comes walking out, and I'm like, what the and then I go, oh, aye. And I remembered, I do remember Leslie Crowther presented it, actually.
Leslie's voice, like, just like opens up like an old 1980s cabinet or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Leslie Crowther was the presenter of The Price is Right, which is kind of most what he was known as, I think, in the UK. And, you know, his game
actually sounds like the 1980s.
Yeah, he really does.
I can't do it. There's a frequency in his
He has
voice.
a look about him as well. There's just there's
like
that.
if you imagine buying a 20 pack of cigarettes,
yeah,
and you open up a 20 pack and there's 20 Leslie Crowthers, and
there's that feeling about it. It has when Stars in Their Eyes started. For anybody out there who doesn't know, Stars in Their Eyes is a show where members of the public come on, and then by the power of TV, they're transformed physically into pop stars or music stars, and they impersonate them and sing a song. So they're doing their best impersonation of a singer, the stars who are in their eyes. Wonderful opening titles, by the way, which I don't remember as well.
No,
so kind of
really
stylistic opening titles. And Leslie Crowther, by the way, that explanation I just gave you about Stars in Their Eyes, Leslie Crowther does the exact same thing. He stands there at the start of the show and explains exactly how the show works.
Right, he has to do that, though, because it's the first episode that's ever existed.
It's true. He says it's episode 1 of a series of a brand new first series of a thing.
I think because in 1990 in particular, for some reason, we've ended up covering a few pilot episodes of things.
Yeah.
And I think even having seen a few pilot things now and pilot studio things, I think the studio audience in Stars in Their Eyes are buzzing. I think they're loving it.
Oh, listen.
I think this like the very first episode, and I think it's a winner straight away.
These grannies that they've ferried in to watch this show are wetting their fucking knickers at
How
this
many
show.
times does Leslie say he's amazed by things? He's like, you'll be amazed, and he's amazed at what's happening. Like, this is a first.
I think they do know it's a hit.
Mm-hmm.
I think they know there's a confidence, there's a positive energy about Leslie in this. He knows this is a fucking. No, I don't know. I didn't do research into why Leslie Crowther ended up leaving the show.
I don't know.
We should check this. I hope it's not anything like illness or anything, because that wouldn't be nice.
There was also an episode, actually, I'm saying this is the very first episode. That might be a lie, because I'm sure there was one with Chris Tarrant as well. So the pilot episode was recorded with Chris Tarrant but never aired. But these Leslie Crowther episodes were the first episodes to air.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So the first contestant on it is a girl called Kelly Hampson. 19 years old. She's a tour operator. So she would go on holidays and do the tour business and stuff. A nice looking wee lassie.
Do you remember the scene in The Father when Anthony Hopkins meets the female care worker, and it gets instantly kind of motivated and buzzing? I think that happens to Leslie Crowther
has a wee bit of that, doesn't he? Some of the old charm comes out.
She's talking about how she sings about the house and she sings in the shower and stuff like that, and he's buzzing hearing this, like, really, and he goes, you good girl.
Oh, you good girl. I've got this written down. Oh, you good girl, he says.
You love singing, don't you?
That's right, yeah. I'm always singing all over the house and in the bathroom.
Are you really? Oh, you're a good girl.
My hairbrush out.
Oh, so there's a microphone? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes her, man. He likes her. Oh, Leslie knows what he's fucking doing. But she is on to be tonight, Matthew. I fucking said Matthew, I knew it.
Couldn't help it, I did as well.
Tonight, I'm going to be Kylie Minogue, she says. Tonight, I'm going to be Kylie Minogue.
No, Leslie's just made a big deal about how these people are singing live.
Yes.
But her performance as Kylie Minogue, there's some backing tracks happening. There's some jiggery-pokery going on that wasn't happening with the other performances to kind of bring her voice up a wee bit.
Yeah. There's a
cheating, I think it's called.
A wee bit of sweetening in her voice as she came out doing the thing. Were you tempted to Google any of these people?
I did not, no.
Okay. I was really tempted to have a Google to see what they're doing. I've searched here for somebody.
I mean, one of the contestants, I'm sure, won the series. I'm sure. The woman that won this episode won the series. I'm sure. So you'll probably be able to find out what she's doing, but I don't know if you'll be able to find out what everybody's doing.
Don't spoil it, because
I would really like to know what Ian Duncan is up to though, because he was the funny guy who was pretty relaxed and down to earth and actually a wee bit witty.
What you mean, the guy who was a hospital porter?
He described him. No, that was the jolly guy.
Oh no, it's Sinatra.
Aye, Sinatra.
Yeah.
He described himself as romantic, ambitious, and skint.
Yeah, and listen, let me tell you something. So he has this fucking Where's Wally looking guy, right? Ian Duncan that came on, and he was doing Frank Sinatra. But he, see when he got done up as Frank Sinatra, he was fucking handsome.
I didn't think the voice was there for Sinatra,
No.
but I actually did like the performance. I liked what he was doing.
I liked his performance as well, and he was a good looking boy. And it just shows you don't need to look like fucking. You don't need to look like Where's Wally?
Loves the theater, and she never walks in here late. She'd never bother with a bum that she'd hate. And that's why the lady, she's a tramp.
Michael was the hospital porter that you're thinking that, and he looked like an absolute scream.
Michael Bostock.
Scream.
His name is. I've got other real names down. Michael Bostock.
His performance was shite.
Leslie Crowther was like, "You aren't half a cheerful looking lad." All that kind of stuff. He did Roger Whittaker. Roger Whittaker was a guy who you would groan when he came on telly shows back in the 80s.
I don't remember.
And now Roger Whittaker, and you go, "Oh, for fuck's sake," because he was like all cunt in a jumper singing folk songs.
The guy that looked like John Lennon looked really nervous, I thought. The most nervous of all the contestants, I thought.
The guy who did John Lennon, Gary Gibson. Was the most.
I just wrote Gary Lennon.
But how much did he look like John Lennon?
He looked a lot like John Lennon.
He looked a lot like John Lennon.
I thought the song choice in his part was rubbish.
But he was the best, though. Did you know he was the best one?
I liked Sinatra's performance, but vocals, I thought probably Bassey. When the winner was.
Gary Gibson is still kicking a ball, by the way, doing John Lennon.
Good.
He's still doing John Lennon, so he's managed to make a career out of it. But he should have won.
Does he just go on stage as a gravestone?
Oh Jesus, he is like, it's like looking at John Lennon in the flesh.
I liked when they announced the winner. Leslie Crowther announced it. Did we miss anybody? I don't want to miss
Maxine Barry, who was Shirley Bassey.
Oh, I'm just about to talk about her anyway.
Okay.
That she was in Corrie. She's an extra in Corrie, Maxine Barry, and so they played a clip of Corrie that she's in as an extra, but they fucking played it twice. There's only 25 minutes in this episode, and they spent fucking about 2 minutes watching Corrie.
Yeah, they ran this clip twice, and they were almost a bit cruel about it. I thought it was a bit cruel feeling that, but the
Very
comedy about it being an
hierarchical
extra.
TV, but I mean, this is Leslie. Leslie's fucking top of the mountain.
Leslie was being a bit patronising about her being an extra and stuff like that. She was good, but she was nothing like Shirley Bassey.
No, that's true.
I was pissed off when she won. But you know what? She's still kicking the ball as well. She's still
good
doing it.
Good. When Leslie announced the winner, did you notice that he announced that the winner is Shirley Bassey?
And the winner is Shirley Bassey!
So he didn't say Maxine's
No, because
name.
that's it. She's transformed now. She's forever
Shirley Bassey now.
now.
Okay.
The way they do the winner is everybody in the audience votes using a wee electronic device in their
They've all
hands.
got a button, which I would be nervous about at that time. I think having all the wires next to my seat.
Yeah, and also they all grannies have no way they know how to operate that fucking thing.
They've sat on it and stuff like
What
that.
one was John Lennon? Was John Lennon number 4 to press? That was Shirley
What button is it if I need help with the toilet?
Who might this be? It's not Colonel Saunders, I'll tell you that. We know what your job is, of course, in real life. You are a hospital porter.
Head porter, Leslie.
Just the heads, is it? Not the rest of the body. You don't bother.
What I was thinking about was, if I'd have watched this back in the day, I wouldn't have dreamed for 1 second that I would end up watching about 1,000 episodes of this, because I feel like when I was a wee guy, it was just always on. How many series were there? There must have been
fucking loads. Loads. But I mean, having said that, as I was saying, I think you could notice for the audience reaction, and there was like a newness to it. There was like, oh, I've not seen this before. This is entertaining. And it is an entertaining wee slice of time. It's a wee bit action-packed.
It's a kind of can't-miss format, is it? Because what you're getting is...
Although, having said that, I mean, John Lennon's performance, what's his name? The hospital porter, they were rubbish. They were kind of boring. As soon as the performance started, I was a wee bit, right, well, I don't need to see
You
this.
think the John Lennon guy's performance was rotten?
It was more the song choice. I think he was good, but the song choice was a bit... I'm not a Beatles fan. Let's not go in that. We've no time for that. No time for that. I know he's dead.
You get fucking Paul McCartney's right there. Macca's right there.
I haven't even looked at this magazine yet.
Macca's right up.
Morrissey as well.
Who was the sexiest man alive in 1990?
Sexiest man alive in 1990 is Oliver Reed.
Wrong, Tom Cruise. Let's take another look at a wee
pair of teeth and a haircut.
Let's take another look at a wee game here before we wrap.
Pair of teeth.
It is 1990, and here we come with an absolute belter. Superstar Soldier on the PC Engine. This is a game that any PC Engine collector worth their salt is going to have in their collection. What you're looking at here is a vertically scrolling shooter that has quite straightforward systems. You've got 4 weapons you can choose from. Every power-up you collect has a colour that corresponds to one of those weapons, and you can charge that weapon right up to the maximum, and then any additional power-up of that colour that you collect will act as a smart bomb. Quite simple, quite straightforward, but this is a very, very challenging game. Now, I know I'm making it look quite easy here, right, but this is one of these shoot-'em-up games where, you know, some shmups, they want you to kind of memorise what the levels are like, right? Now, there's a wee bit of that in here. And some of them, you're going to be living on your instincts, you're going to be living on your reactions, right? This is a bit of both. You kind of want to have experience with the levels, but having experience with the levels isn't going to be enough to save you. You're going to have to be on your fucking toes all the time. The game gets very challenging later on, but it's just such a buzz to play a game as old as this, you know, that is so kind of spectacular for a home console like the PC Engine, and it just really stands up. I play this game quite regularly. I've played it for many, many years, and I really wish I could let this segment run and run and run, because what you would have seen here in my captured footage is me surviving for a very long time on one life without losing a life. Sadly, I can't do that. Sadly, I have spoken to Ryan. I've said, look, will you let me run this segment for a good 10 minutes or something to let people see? And he said, nah, you can't do that. It's boring. It's boring listening to you for one thing, and it's boring watching you playing this old fucking game for about fucking 40 years ago. But just take it from me, I'm good at this. The game stands up. If there's some way that you can get a wee opportunity to play this, and I think this came out on maybe the Wii shop. It was out in the shop on the Wii, and maybe it was re-released on something else as well, on some kind of PlayStation retro release. I don't know, but there are ways of playing Superstar Soldier, I think, even without a PC Engine. I'm not saying emulation, but you should give it a go. It's a really, really fun game. Quite spectacular, really thrilling, and man, see when you get to that boss towards the end, woo, you're in for some trouble. Ryan, can I let it run? Because I've still not died. Can I keep it? Ryan, is it alright if I keep it running? Because, as you can see, I'm still alive. And I don't think people have ever seen anything like this level of skill on any Consolevania related release. So please, if you could just allow me to keep it running.
Well, there you go.
Do you want one more for me as well?
Yeah, one more.
All right,
would you like another?
There you go. Something about the wee sound effects, these wee tinks. Tink. Tink. That really allow me to... Oh, Jesus Christ! That allow me to access the taster limeade out of a glass bottle that I bought off the van. Very intimate experience. Oh! Terrifying. Very intimate experience, this Cadaver. This is... It's not intimate at the moment, it's a bit action-packed. From the Bitmap Brothers, makers of Speedball 2, Chaos Engine, many other good games, I think Cadaver is quite a nice representation of how satisfyingly crisp Amiga graphics could be. This is about as nice as I think as Amiga graphics. This is a nice example of how satisfying Amiga graphics could be. Your main character here is called Caradoc. Now, for 30 years I haven't known that the main character's name was Caradoc, but it tells you that at the start. Caradoc's basically like a greedy bastard. He's raiding this. He's a trespasser. He's trespassing on somebody else's castle, and he's trying to find as much gold and spoils as he can possibly lay his greedy bastard hands on. He's also hoping to kill off a necromancer, whose castle it is, so he's trespassing on somebody else's castle. He's going to rob them and then he's going to kill them, and this is the good guy. This is who you're playing as. But I always have been, I was back in the day, and I am still a really big fan of how this game looks. It plays perfectly nicely. You've got you can play it with a zipstick, 8 directions of action that you could be going in. He's even got a jump, this guy, which is quite surprising. You don't get a jump in many of these isometric games, but you can jump. So things get a wee bit chaotic sometimes. You do daft things like jump air baddies and get stuck on things and stuff like that, but it's worth it. So the gameplay's pretty good, but I would say the main selling point is how the graphical style encourages a real intimacy. The sepia tone of it. Doesn't have endless like sound effects, so all the wee nice tink sound effects are welcome, and the eerie silence of the castle. It remains still to this day a playable game. Puzzles are good. You can obviously do the online shenanigans if you get stuck these days. I wouldn't condone that. That's cheating. Obviously I wouldn't condone that. You wouldn't catch me. You would. But it's playable. It's enjoyable. It looks great. It's still a good game. It's inspiring, actually. It's quite inspiring, because so often you go back and you look at the old games and they're absolutely shite. They're absolute shite. So I'll just leave you with a blood-curdling scream, if that's alright with you. Cheers. So that was 1990 Part 1.
That's 1990 Part 1. Incredible stuff. Please do check out State of Grace.
We've just fallen into the habit of just assuming that there's going to be a minimum of 2 parts per year. I think that's probably
that's
the case.
what's happening. Check out State of Grace. Check out all the games that we spoke about.
Don't watch Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yeah, don't do that. Watch play Parodius, my God. And why don't you, this is a fun idea, why don't you do a Stars in Their Eyes performance and send it into us, and we'll put it on the show. We'll feature it on the show.
We'll unedited. So
yeah, we'll get it on the show. So please dress up as your favourite pop star. Do a Stars in Your Eyes.
And make sure make sure you're dressed as well. Make a point of making sure that you're dressed.
And just mark it. Just email it to you, or how would they send it to us?
Okay.
Just message us a link to it or something. Just entitle it "Guffed in Your Eyes" and send that to us.
Paul, where's the culture in that?